I never thought a single night could unravel the life I've spent 12 years building. I'm Cindy, and standing in the dim glow of my kitchen, I can feel the weight of secrets I didn't even know existed pressing down on me. My marriage to Mark was supposed to be my safe harbor, but lately, it's felt like a ship sinking in slow motion, with cracks I can't patch no matter how hard I try. Then came that electric night at Club Neon, where the pulsing lights and pounding music promised an escape, until a stranger's gaze caught mine, igniting a fire I thought had long burned out. Now, I'm standing on the edge of a choice that could shatter everything, and I don't know if I'll step back or leap forward into the unknown. What did I do next? Picture this: a quiet evening where the air feels heavier than it should, like it's pressing down on my chest with secrets I didn't even know I was carrying. I'm standing in my kitchen, the dim light casting long shadows over the counter, and I can't shake this gnawing feeling that something's off, something I can't name yet. My name's Cindy, and at 36, I've built a life that looks pretty on the outside. 12 years of marriage to Mark, my husband, a man who's always been steady, or at least I thought he was. He's 38, with a quiet intensity that used to make me feel safe, like I could lean into him and the world would just fade away. But lately, that safety feels like a memory I'm clinging to, not a reality I'm living. I've spent over a decade with him, building a home in this small suburban corner of the world, where the neighbors wave and the lawns are always trimmed just so. We've got no kids, not by choice but by circumstance, and maybe that's left a hollow space between us that neither of us knows how to fill. I work as a freelance graphic designer, which means I spend a lot of time alone with my thoughts, sketching out ideas while the house hums with silence. Mark's a mechanic, hands always stained with grease, coming home with stories of engines and stubborn bolts. We used to laugh over dinner, sharing the little victories of our day, but now, those conversations feel like echoes of a past I'm not sure we can get back to. There's this moment I keep replaying in my head, from a few weeks ago. We were in bed, the kind of late-night quiet where you can hear every breath, and I turned to him, hoping for something, a connection, maybe. I slid closer, my hand brushing against his arm, and I could feel the warmth of him, the familiar shape of his shoulder. I wanted to reignite that spark, to lose myself in the kind of intimacy we hadn't shared in months. But he just mumbled something about being tired and rolled away, leaving me staring at the ceiling, feeling more alone than I ever have. It wasn't just rejection, it was like he wasn't even there, like I was reaching for a ghost of the man I married. I keep telling myself it's nothing, that marriages go through rough patches, that we're just tired or stressed. But deep down, I know it's more than that. There's a distance in his eyes now, a wall I can't climb over no matter how hard I try. I've caught him staring off into space, lost in thoughts he won't share, and it makes my stomach twist with questions I'm too afraid to ask. Where does he go when he's not here with me? Not physically, but in his mind. What's pulling him away? I've started noticing little things, how he's quick to put his phone face down, how he's working late more often than. So here we are, stepping out of the quiet tension of our suburban life and into the electric chaos of Club Neon, a downtown hotspot Mark and I haven't set foot in since our wilder days. The moment we push through the heavy glass doors, the world shifts. The music hits me like a physical force, a deep bass thumping through my chest, vibrating in my bones. Strobe lights slice through the darkness, painting the crowd in flashes of neon blue and hot pink, while the air is thick with the scent of sweat, perfume, and something sweeter I can't quite place. Bodies are everywhere, swaying and grinding to the relentless beat, laughter and shouts weaving through the sound like threads in a chaotic tapestry. It's overwhelming, but in a way that makes my pulse race with a kind of reckless excitement I haven't felt in years. I glance down at myself as we weave through the crowd, catching my reflection in a mirrored wall near the entrance. I'm wearing this sleek black dress, one I dug out from the back of my closet, something I haven't slipped into since my early 30s. It hugs my curves in a way that feels both daring and foreign, like I'm stepping into the skin of a younger, bolder version of myself. My heart does a little flip, part thrill, part nerves, as I wonder if I still pull it off, if I still look like I belong in a place like this. I smooth a hand over the fabric, trying to shake off the self-consciousness creeping in, and focus on the night ahead. Mark's beside me, his hand brushing mine for a fleeting second as we make our way deeper into the club. At first, he seems into it, his eyes scanning the room with a spark of energy I haven't seen in him for months. He leans close, his breath warm against my ear, and suggests we grab drinks to kick things off. I nod, letting him lead the way to the bar, where he orders us a couple of cocktails with a grin that reminds me of the man I fell for all those years ago. We clink glasses, the cold liquid burning a path down my throat, and for a moment, I think maybe this night will be different. Maybe we'll find a piece of what we've lost, but it doesn't take long for that hope to flicker. After downing his drink, Mark orders a beer, then another, and I watch as he plants himself at the bar, his shoulders slumping as if the weight of something unspoken is pulling him down. I try to coax him out, tugging at his arm with a playful smile, begging him to join me on the dance floor where the crowd is pulsing like a living thing. "Come on, let's move," I say, my voice barely audible over the music, but he just waves me off, his words slurring together as he mutters, "I'm just relaxin', babe. Go have fun." There's a dismissive edge to his tone that stings, and I feel a familiar frustration bubbling up inside me, hot and sharp, cutting through the haze of the club's energy. I stand there for a moment, my hands on my hips, staring at Mark as he takes another long swig of his beer, his eyes glassy and distant. It's like I'm invisible to him, like I'm not even worth the effort of a glance. The frustration morphs into something heavier, a mix of disappointment and loneliness that sits like a stone in my chest. I turn away, deciding I'm not going to let his mood drag me down, not tonight. I came here to feel something, anything, and I'm not ready to give up on that just yet. I make my way back to the bar, a little further down from where Mark is slumped, and order myself a gin and tonic. The bartender slides the glass over with a quick nod, and I take a sip, the sharp bite of the drink grounding me as the ice clinks against the glass. The music is still pounding, the crowd a blur of motion around me, and I let myself get lost in the rhythm for a moment, my fingers tapping against the bar. That's when I feel someone step up beside me, their presence close enough that I can sense the warmth of them before I even turn my head. "Hey there," a voice says, smooth and confident, cutting through the noise. I glance over, and my breath catches just a little. He's younger than me, maybe early 30s, with a sharp jawline and piercing green eyes that seem to look right into me, like he's already figured out something I haven't. He flashes a smile, all easy charm, and extends a hand. "I'm Ethan. Mind if I join you for a minute?" His voice has this warmth to it, a kind of pull that makes me forget the weight I've been carrying all night. I shake his hand, feeling the strength in his grip, and manage a small smile back. "Sure, I'm Cindy. Go for it." Ethan leans against the bar, ordering a drink for himself, and we start talking. It's effortless in a way I'm not used to anymore. He compliments my dress, his eyes lingering just long enough to make my cheeks warm. "That black number looks like it was made for you," he says, and I laugh, brushing a strand of hair behind my ear, feeling a flutter I haven't felt in ages. He asks if I come here often, and I shake my head, admitting it's been years since I've been anywhere like this. He grins, tilting his head as if he's intrigued by that, and then he makes a quip about the cheesy club music, something about how it's so bad it's almost good. I can't help but laugh, a real laugh, one that bubbles up from somewhere deep and forgotten. It feels good, too good, to be standing here with someone who's actually seeing me. As we talk, I notice how close he's standing, how his energy seems to fill the space between us. His hand brushes mine as he gestures while telling a story about a design project gone hilariously wrong, and I don't pull away. The touch sends a jolt through me, a spark that I know I should ignore but can't. It's so different from the cold distance I've been living with, the way Mark's been shutting me out. Ethan's presence is magnetic, and I find myself leaning into it, drawn to the way he looks at me like I'm the only person in this crowded, chaotic room. His touches grow bolder as the conversation flows, first a light hand on my arm, then a lingering press against my lower back as he leans in to speak over the music. My heart's racing, and I'm caught in this push and pull of guilt and desire, knowing I shouldn't be letting this happen but unable to step back from the edge. I steal a glance over at Mark, hoping maybe he's noticed. Maybe he'll care enough to come over, but he's still at the far end of the bar, slumped over, barely conscious. Empty glasses are scattered around him like little monuments to his detachment, and the sight twists something inside me. Anger, sadness, I'm not sure. I turn back to Ethan, and his eyes are locked on mine, a silent question hanging between us that I'm not sure I'm ready to answer. The night at Club Neon had already taken a turn I hadn't expected, and now, as the hours ticked past midnight, I found myself in a situation I couldn't have predicted. Mark was a mess, barely able to stand, let alone walk, after one too many drinks. Ethan, with that effortless charm still radiating from him, offered to help me get Mark home. I didn't know how to refuse, not when I was struggling just to keep Mark upright, his arm slung over my shoulder as he mumbled incoherently. So, we left the pulsing chaos of the club behind, stepping into the cool night air, the three of us an odd, unsteady trio making our way to the car. The drive back to our apartment was tense, the silence in the car broken only by Mark's heavy breathing from the back seat. I kept my eyes on the road, my knuckles white on the steering wheel, while Ethan sat beside me, his presence a quiet storm I couldn't ignore. Every so often I'd catch him glancing my way, his expression unreadable in the dim glow of the streetlights. My mind was a tangle of thoughts, worry for Mark, confusion about the night, and something else, something dangerous that I didn't want to name. By the time we pulled up to our building, my nerves were frayed, and I just wanted the night to be over. But it was far from done. Getting Mark up to our third-floor apartment was a nightmare I hadn't anticipated. The elevator was out of order because of course it was, and the narrow stairwell seemed to mock us with every step. Mark's weight was a dead pull, his feet dragging as Ethan took most of the burden, half carrying him with an arm hooked under Mark's shoulder. I fumbled ahead, my hands shaking as I fished the keys from my purse, my breath coming in short, anxious bursts. "Almost there," I muttered, more to myself than anyone else, as we navigated the last flight of stairs. Ethan grunted with the effort, but he didn't complain, his strength a stark contrast to Mark's limp form. I couldn't help but notice the flex of his muscles under his shirt, and I quickly pushed the thought away, focusing on the door in front of me. Finally, with a click that felt louder than it should have, I unlocked the apartment and pushed the door open, the familiar scent of home washing over me like a fleeting comfort. We stumbled inside, the dimly lit living room casting long, uneven shadows across the hardwood floor. A single lamp in the corner flickered weakly, barely illuminating the space, but it was enough to guide us to the couch. Ethan helped me lower Mark onto the cushions, his body slumping into the fabric with a heavy thud. Almost immediately, Mark's head lolled back, his mouth falling open as a loud, uneven snore ripped through the silence. He was out cold, completely oblivious to the world, leaving me standing there, my hands on my hips, staring down at him with a mix of exhaustion and frustration. The night had unraveled in ways I couldn't have imagined, and now here I was, in the quiet of my own home, with a stranger who felt anything but unfamiliar. I turned to Ethan, my voice a little too high, a little too frantic, as I started thanking him over and over. "I don't know what I would have done without you. Really, I mean it. I'm so sorry you had to deal with this mess." My words tumbled out in a rush, my hands gesturing awkwardly as I tried to convey just how grateful I was. But Ethan just waved it off, that charming smile of his cutting through my flustered state like a beam of light. "Hey, don't worry about it, Cindy. It's no trouble at all. I'm just glad I could help." His voice was smooth, steady, and it did something to the knot in my chest, loosening it just enough to let me breathe a little easier. But then he tilted his head, his green eyes catching mine in a way that made my stomach flip. "It's pretty late, though." I couldn't help but feel the weight of his gaze, like it was pulling me into a current I wasn't sure I could swim against. I stood there in the dim light of my living room, the air thick with something unspoken, something I'd been dodging all night. My heart was still pounding from the chaos of getting Mark home, but now it raced for a different reason. I gestured toward the kitchen, trying to keep my voice steady. "Do you, want some coffee or something before you head out? I mean, it's the least I can do after all your help." My words felt flimsy, a weak attempt to fill the silence, but Ethan nodded, his smile softening as he followed me past the counter. The kitchen felt smaller with him in it, the space closing around us as I busied myself with the coffee maker, my hands trembling just enough to betray my nerves. I could hear the faint hum of the refrigerator, a mundane sound that somehow grounded me in this surreal moment. Ethan leaned against the counter, watching me with those piercing green eyes, and I felt exposed, like he could see every crack in the facade I'd been holding up for years. "You okay, Cindy?" he asked, his voice low, almost a whisper, but it cut through the quiet like a blade. I turned to face him, gripping the edge of the counter for support, and forced a small nod. "Yeah, I'm fine. Just a lot, you know?" But I wasn't fine. Not even close. He stepped closer, closing the distance between us, and I felt the heat of his presence before he even touched me. My breath hitched as I looked up into his eyes, searching for a reason to step back, to stop this before it went too far. But all I saw was a hunger that mirrored my own, a need I hadn't let myself acknowledge until this very second. And then, without thinking, without giving myself time to overthink, I turned fully to face him, my body moving on its own. I looked into his eyes, really looked, and saw something raw, something that made my chest ache. Before I could stop myself, I leaned in and kissed him back, hard and desperate, like I'd been starving for this kind of connection, this kind of fire, for longer than I could remember. His lips were warm, tasting faintly of mint from the gum he'd been chewing earlier, a sharp contrast to the heat of the moment. His hands found my hips, firm and steady, pulling me closer until there was no space left between us, and I felt the world tilt under me. The refrigerator's hum faded into the background, drowned out by the sound of my own heartbeat thundering in my ears. My hands slid up to his shoulders, gripping the fabric of his shirt as if letting go would mean falling apart completely. Every nerve in my body was alight, burning with a mix of longing and recklessness I couldn't control. And yet, in the back of my mind, I knew Mark was just in the next room, passed out on the couch, oblivious to the betrayal unfolding mere feet away. His snores echoed faintly, a cruel reminder of the life I was risking, but I didn't stop. I couldn't. The guilt hit me like a wave, crashing over the exhilaration and threatening to pull me under, but it wasn't enough to make me pull away. Instead, it mixed with the rush, creating a storm inside me I didn't know how to navigate. Ethan's grip tightened, and we stumbled out of the kitchen, moving toward the hallway, away from the living room where Mark lay. Our hands were everywhere, searching, clinging, as if we could erase the weight of reality through sheer will. My back pressed against the wall, the cool surface a stark contrast to the heat of his touch, and I felt myself unraveling, thread by thread, in a way I hadn't in years. I was crossing a line I'd never imagined I'd cross, betraying vows I'd made over a decade ago in a single reckless moment that felt both like salvation and damnation. Inside, I was screaming at myself to stop, to think about what I was doing, about the life I The morning after feels like stepping into a world that's been shattered and pieced back together wrong. I'm standing in the living room, the early light filtering through the blinds in thin, pale streaks, casting a ghostly glow over everything. The air is heavy with a silence that presses against my ears, broken only by the faint creak of the couch as Mark stirs. I watch him, my chest tight, as his body shifts under the tangled blanket I threw over him last night. His face is pale, almost gray, and when his eyes finally flutter open, they're bloodshot, rimmed with a weariness that cuts deeper than just a hangover. He looks confused, disoriented, like he's trying to piece together where he is, what happened. I don't move, don't speak, just stand there with my arms crossed, feeling the weight of last night's choices clawing at the back of my mind. He sits up slowly, wincing as he rubs a hand over his face, his movements sluggish, like he's dragging himself through mud. Then his gaze finds me, and something shifts in his expression, something raw and heavy that makes my stomach drop like a stone. His voice comes out hoarse, rough as gravel, when he finally speaks. "I saw everything last night, Cindy. I wasn't as out of it as you thought." The words hit me like a punch, stealing the air from my lungs. I freeze, my mind racing, trying to grasp what he means, how much he knows. My mouth goes dry, and I can't find a single thing to say as he keeps going, his voice low but steady, each word a blade. I was too drunk to move, to say anything, but I remember, you and that guy, in the hallway. I'm stunned, rooted to the spot, my heart hammering so hard I'm sure he can hear it. His eyes hold mine, and I see it all there hurt, sharp and jagged, betrayal that cuts deep, but also a kind of resignation, like he's not even surprised, like he's been waiting for this, expecting it, as if our crumbling marriage had already whispered this ending to him long before last night. I search his face, taking in the lines etched deeper than I remember, the way his jaw clenches like he's holding back a flood of words, or maybe tears. I don't know what I expected. Anger, shouting, something explosive. But this quiet pain is worse. It's a mirror to everything we've lost, everything I've thrown away in a moment of weakness and desperation. I should apologize, should say something to ease the ache I see in him, but the words don't come. Instead, a wave of anger surges up inside me, hot and bitter, spilling over before I can stop it. "You've got some nerve, Mark," I snap, my voice trembling with a mix of guilt and defiance. "You think this is all on me? You've been drowning yourself in booze for months, ignoring me for years, making me feel like I don't even exist in this house. I've been invisible to you, and now you want to act like you care?" My hands are shaking as I point at him, the accusations pouring out like poison I've been holding in too long. "You checked out of this marriage long before I did anything. Don't you dare put this all on me." His face hardens, the resignation giving way to a flicker of anger, though his voice stays low, controlled. "I know I've messed up, Cindy. I know I haven't been there. But seeing you with him, that's a different kind of hurt. I didn't think you'd go that far." His words sting, slicing through my defenses, but I don't back down. I can't. The argument escalates, our voices rising, cutting through the morning stillness like shards of glass. I'm yelling about the loneliness, the nights I've spent reaching for him only to find nothing, and he's throwing back how he's been struggling too, how he didn't know how to fix us any more than I did. But it's too late for explanations, too late for regrets. The damage is done, and we both know, don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment if you enjoyed this story. This will help us create more engaging stories for you.